Ooh. Want to know what that's for? That's for putting my franchise center's name in your mouth. Keep my franchise center's name out of your mouth. Keep your franchise center's name out of your mouth. Yeah, that's you, Raptor fans. Bye bye. Cancun, enjoy your summer. It's going to be a domestic violence video link, well, not video link, just a link to a domestic violence website in the description because, we should look after women, we should protect women, and, none of this violence, stuff like that should ever be allowed. But the meme is very real. I voice recorded the meme, obviously on the Raptor fans, but also for those Sixers fans who one game is way too early to have a demise of a player's legacy. Way too early. Like, can't we wait for, a couple of years of bad playoff performances, not one bad game, before we simultaneously declare that someone's legacy is on the line? Can we kind of do that? I just thought that the demise of Joel Embiid was greatly exaggerated, and obviously everyone in Philadelphia was tense. I was tense. No one wanted that to occur, and obviously the players themselves didn't want it to occur by virtue of a 135-97 win on both ends of the ball. Offensively, we were doing a great job. James Harden pushing the ball up, getting into Maxey and semi-transition, hitting your open threes. Tobias Harris with your open threes. Did a good job spreading the floor. And Joel Embiid, obviously, you command that attention in the paint. But he did a terrific job attacking, not only offensively, but defensively. Defensively in particular, I did not make such a big deal out of those 6 points that a Chua got in the third quarter of Game 5. 6 points. It happened. Yeah. And, it was a bad sequence. It was an unusual sequence for Joel Embiid, but it's because it was so rare that it wasn't really something that, again, I was overly concerned with. Game 5 was not legacy defining for me in any way. It was just one game, one playoff game out of many. You could argue, was the Kawhi shot playoff defining? Was, something like that. No one thought that getting swept by Boston was defining, and Joel Embiid had a pretty damn good series then. So I think what defines Joel Embiid is whether or not we could get past the second round, not one game. And even then, the main reason why I didn't find it defining, we have Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle as our wingmen. And for those who have been a constant on this channel, I know that until that situation changes, where you got Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle with their wings, until that changes, you're operating at a disadvantage unless, and this is the exception, if our guard play can put anywhere near what they did today, 45 points and 23 assists combined. Both of those guys took what the defense gave them. Tyrese Maxey taking a bunch of open 3-point shots that were opening games 4 and in game 5 that he just didn't take. After being 1 for 5 in game 3, I think he felt, a little something there. But the reality is we need him to shoot those threes. Look at game 1, you shot 8 threes, hit 5. Look at game 2, you shot 6 threes, you made 3 of them. When you shoot your threes and when you shoot them in volume, you're just a totally different player, totally unguardable. All 3 levels driving, slashing, playmaking for others. Everything is just better for Tyrese Maxey when he shoots and makes jump shots. So keep firing, even contested, even if you miss. I think that's the lesson from this series for Tyrese Maxey. Just shoot the free ball. Shout out to Tobias Harris. Tobias played tough physical defense on Siakam, made him work for every bucket. Siakam was a two-time All-Star, 6'8", can handle the ball, can shoot the mid-range, has a little Giannis shoulder. Very tough physical player to guard, and Tobias was all ready for the challenge from the opening tip of the series in Game 1 all the way to the conclusion of the night. So, Tobias Harris is the series MVP. I'll take it, because anytime you could stop the opposing team's best player, contain the opposing team's best player, that's something big right there. So, shout out to Tobias Harris. If I didn't make that meme for Joel, I would have made it for Tobias. Only I also criticized Tobias, I think everyone has. So I think everyone needs to keep Tobias' name out their mouths. That's my shout out to Toby. You earned it. Great series. And that's all we look for throughout the year. Especially now with Harden and Embiid and Maxey. Now you're not really looking so much for the points. But when you rebound the way Tobias Harris rebounded in this series, when you compete defensively like he competed, and that toughness and that grit and that grind, you're faithful to the grind. I thought that Tobias Harris, I thought he was big. I thought he was big time. And he earned all the praise that he's getting from Doc, praise that he's getting from his teammates, and praise that he's even getting from a lot of fans in the fan community. We all saw it. When you hustle, you dive on the ball, when you compete like that, everyone notices. That's a super bright light, and you earned it. You earned every bit of it, Tobias. I love you, man. I appreciate you. Keep up that defense, because we're going to need it deeper into the playoffs as we go. Paul Reed, I thought he had a good series. I thought he came in and gave us energy, especially the more the series got on, the better Paul Reed was. Even though you lose Game 4, I thought Paul Reed had a hell of a Game 4. His ability to shoot the ball, hitting those 2 threes. In Game 5, a little bit of activity there, but in those limited minutes, you really don't get the opportunity for much on either end. It also means that you don't have the opportunity to make mistakes. So, whenever those who criticize plus minus and all those other things, block out that noise. A lot of those guys just don't know basketball. They don't know what they're watching. And because they don't know what they're watching, they refer to some antiquated statistic in very loose terms in plus minus, which isn't a stat at all. It shouldn't even be on the box score, to be brutally honest. And then there's today. Paul Reed was tremendous. Defensively, I thought he was everywhere, contesting shots, getting rebounds. I thought that he also, along with Tobias, made things hell on the perimeter for the Raptors. And then offensively, I thought he ran the floor. I thought he set great screens. He did Paul Reed things. And when Paul Reed is literally the first one down the court. When Paul Reed plays the game that way, he's an X factor for our team. He is an X factor for our group. So we're going to need Paul Reed to continue to play that way defensively. We're going to need him to continue to rebound the ball in limited minutes, to continue to block shots in limited minutes, because I don't know about Doc, but I don't look at Miami as that much bigger. And I don't think of DeAndre Jordan as that capable of being disruptive defensively like Paul Reed is. And so it was really big in a lot of ways that Paul Reed had more minutes and increased his production tonight, because that's a way of him competing for keeping that role as our backup center. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't know how DeAndre Jordan can go from do not play coach's decision to taking those minutes. I really don't. Not that he should have had them to begin with in the regular season, but that's not a here or there. This is a series victory celebration. But that's my hope. Just like Doc told us about Danny Green, I'm hoping that Paul Reed keeps that backup job. At least let him, if you really think that size is going to make it a bad matchup, at least give yourself a game one to find that out. And knowing you, if it takes 3 minutes, you'll be able to bring it out very easily. Let the young player fail so that you can give him the opportunity to succeed. That's all. Like, you'll never know if a player can succeed without letting him try to fail. Speaking of which, we saw our first extended look of action in the Jaden Springer really late. Obviously, it was like 1 minute and 50 seconds, but I love what I saw. Now, mind you, and again, it's, fourth stringers, whatever, final game of elimination game, but I saw Jaden Springer, for example, take a ball from up top, drive into the lane, and had a reverse spin layup. And I'm like, I've never seen you have that much athletic control at any point in Tennessee. So just that ability to be that good of a finisher and to be that more, able to handle the ball a bit, roughly speaking. I think that he's better off the ball. I think he is more of a slasher than a natural guard. The good news is, with James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, Jaden Springer can now be kind of a Danny Green understudy, as opposed to, oh my God, why did we draft this guard deep? So he's not like, for example, the solution to the backup point guard or anything like that, but he could give us minutes at the wing starting next year. Like, for example, we put Furkan Korkmaz earlier in the game. Yeah, I think Jaden Springer is knocking on the door of Furkan Korkmaz. And this kind of gets to a little bit, I'm always thinking about the offseason because one way or another, June, right? We're going to be in May in a month. So, in a month or so, you're going to be in the offseason no matter what, even when we win the title. And even when you win the title, there's always ways you can improve. And the way the Sixers can improve is if their young players that they drafted get in the rotation. And that means trading Furkan Korkmaz this offseason. It means trading Furkan Korkmaz. It means trading Shake Milton. It means trading Shake Milton. Because Jaden Springer is a big physical guard with guard forward, more forward than guard, but whatever. You understand what I'm saying. 6'4", big wingspan, able to defend ones and twos. I would like to see if that improvement, that 1 minute flash, I would like to see what that means in a broader, bigger context next season. And I'm thinking the only way I know that is if we get some of these scrubs off of the roster. You do that for me, Dale. Your younger players look like they could be better and they could fit you long term next 5-6 years. I think they're more important. That's just me. But anyway, it's on to Miami. Tough team, physical team, but I feel like we could take them. In Eastern Conference Finals, who knows at that point you're playing with house money, but I think we could beat the Heat, and I think we can get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2001. 60 Universe. Peace.